Hi, I'm Shelley Gehrig, editor of Focus Magazine, and we are here today with Lee Adams, the inventor of duct tape. They're probably wondering why we're sitting in this car when we're going to talk about duct tape. What's the deal?
One of my hobbies, in fact my only hobby, is cars. I have quite a few of them. And this one happens to be an Aerial Atom, which is made in Alton, Virginia. And it's a very quick car, does 0 to 60 in 2.85 seconds. And only 153, which is very fast for a squash dune buggy type of car. So this is one of them, and we decided we'd sit in here. I want to see how it feels to be low and fast. The
patent for the duct tape. That's what we're curious about.
Oh well, I worked at NASA, and then I was going to get drafted, so I joined the Marine Corps instead. Not a good move. I'm not that tough. And then I went back to NASA, and then a friend of mine gave me work there at a place called Kendall, Kendal,
right,
which got bought by Colgate.
Right.
And I started off as an engineer associate. That's an engineering training, and actually eventually ran the whole division, all 5 plants in the U.S. That's all they had. And that's where I invented the duct tape. And it was done in the Polican plant in Franklin, Kentucky is where it was done, actually. And
so give me a little background on that. How'd that happen?
Well, I used to go to we had 4 shifts and 4 shifts on, 4 shifts off. So I'd go talk to all the hourly people at all the different shifts. I just did that because I didn't want to go through any more union things anymore. And I left magazines that have extruders and plastic counters, and it's a counter's a big machine, huge machine, and all these machines. So I let them in there for people to read about the technology, so they would maybe get interested. And one of the guys, his name was Larry Goosetree, was his name, and Larry said to me, "Why don't we use one of these? It was an extrusion system to make duct tape." And I said, "Why would you do that, Larry?" And he said, "I don't know. I just saw a picture of it, you know." So I said, "Well, I appreciate the thought." And I started thinking about it over 5 or 6 weeks. And then I said, actually, that may not be a bad idea. And then I did some research on extrusion. You can do up to 7 layers at a time. It's called a chlorine dye, which you could use. And so I built one for 50 grand. I only had 50 grand I could play with because the corporation wouldn't let me do it. So I only had 50 grand I could pay out of my division. So I took the 50 grand, I made one out of baling wire and staples and stuff like that, out of what they call a rose garden. I used to collect obsolete old equipment and get stuff together, it's like motors and electrical stuff, and that kind of stuff. And I built one for $50,000, and it worked. And it was good. And then I found I could make it thinner. I could put cheap. So first of all, I had better drape, which means it draped like this, it would actually flow better. Remember the old duct tapes used to be real stiff? And
yes.
This tape's not like that. And then they would, and also we could do, instead of 60 inches wide, we could do up to 110. I think eventually 130. So it's very inexpensive then, and they could do it much faster, and they could use much less expensive. They could do what they call wide spec polyester, which is junk. And it would make the tape actually better. So then we did that, and that's what I have the patent on. It's called duct tape with co-extrusion with the patent. And I do have one of those here. It's a European patent I've got here. What
other patents you were talking about? A couple other ones. Is there any others you want to share?
I have 3 patents on the Band-Aid machines.
Okay.
The ones they were doing, I can't give you the speed, the hours, but one of my machines replaced 28 of their machines.
Wow.
Give you some idea.
Oh, yes.
And so I did 3 things on them, and I built those machines. And it's really funny. They wouldn't give me any money. I told you I only had that 50 grand. and then after I did that, I redid dental floss. I did redesigned dental floss. I have a patent on that. And I did wax injection, which is one of my patents, which does push the waxes on dental flosses like that. Much better. What they did was like medieval, the way they were doing it. And after a while, they finally kept giving me more and more money to play with stuff. And what I used to call the skunk works. Okay. And I used to play with all this stuff. And eventually, they gave me $11 million.
Oh my gosh!
To do this
so
stuff.
It was working.
Just play with stuff. Yeah.
It was working.
Yeah.
So did you enjoy this?
I loved it. It was not like working.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah,
Sounds like fun.
When I ran manufacturing, I was dealing with people that have little considerations, little thoughts, little problems, and I didn't like that very well. So, but I did it. I mean, it was my job. But when I got into when Johnson & Johnson called me and said, "Would you like to come and run engineering, just be director of engineering for them for the domestic operating company?"
Okay.
I took it just because I love technology. And then eventually, after I did some of these things, they eventually gave me the whole world. So I ran engineering. I was an international vice president. In fact, I still have a business card. International vice president for Johnson & Johnson.
Now, were you still creating things at that point?
That's what I did all the time.
That's what you did.
Only difference is I had a bunch of guys that worked for me. I had 189 engineers plus ones across the world. And all I could say, well, I think I have an idea. I can do this. So I would bring them on my little whiteboard, not a black little whiteboard, and I write this down. And these guys would come in and say, they write it all down. They come do the actual engineering work. You know, if they had a problem, I'd solve it because I could do that. You know, but that's how I did stuff. I could do a lot more stuff.
Right.
A lot more stuff like that. From first grade to ninth grade, I lived in 26 different locations. All right. And in fact, they told my parents I was retarded twice. They told my parents I was retarded twice. And in fact, my parents were wonderful people, by the way. And my mother and dad, they'd sit down with me and say, "Lee, if you can't do these things, it's okay. We understand that everybody can't do everything." I said, "No, just quit moving me around for Christ's sake. I can be fine." And then he said to me, "What do you want? If you get on Dean's list, we'll buy you whatever you want. You just pick what you." I said, "I'd like to have a tape recorder." That's when they were really big like this. I'm an old guy. They were really big tape recorder like that.
Yes, they were.
And I made honors roll the next time. Oh. And I came up in high school again, and then I got into engineering school barely. I had to go on what they call, I could get in business school, but I couldn't get in engineering school, which is what I wanted to do. And I couldn't get in as a freshman. What they do is they have 200 that they keep open for the dumb people. That would be me, okay? The 200 people. And they have 800 people that do summer school there. And the top 200 people out of the 800 they let in there by exams and stuff are the ones they allow in for freshmen. And I did that and got in there. And then by sophomore year, I was ace in the place. Was going to honors classes and all this kind of stuff. But my first diagnosis, there was a guy in our school, his name was Jerry Carpenter. He had a 4.3 out of 4.3. I didn't have that. That's pretty damn good, you know. And we went to I went to an honors class, and I kept beating. I got a 79. I remember in his honors class, which I thought was kind of easy. And I got 79, and I said, "Oh God, I'm going to mess this up. I should not have done this." And everybody else got 32s and 44s and stuff like that. So that's when I got my first idea. And I could do things that were I could do 5-year, 25-year manufacturing technical plans. And I did a lot of those for Johnson & Johnson. I had a white paper. Where do you want to take this industry, this business, which one it was, with its toothbrushes? I have a lot of brushes, a lot of toothbrush patents. But where do you want to take this business? And I'd write a 5-year plan that the business leaders could do and look at and decide they're going to do. And then I would do the technology and do the manufacturing if they wanted to do that. So we do that.
And you were 24 when you had your first patent?
24.
Is that correct?
Yes, 24. And got 9 the first year, and then they found, I don't know if it's because I was good at inventing things or because I was a blabbermouth, and they gave me 3 patent attorneys. And everywhere I went, they followed me around, you know. And I remember one place I went, this is kind of embarrassing, but it's true. I went to some place where they make the Visa cards, the American Express cards, and all that kind of stuff. And I went there, and the guy who was taking me around, we were doing it for something we wanted to do as a company, and they let us in very graciously. The guy said, showed me a problem over there. He said, "You know, if you can figure out how to do that, we can make a lot of money." So when I looked at it, I said, "Well, that's not that hard. You can just do, you know, because that's the way my mind worked." And from then on, I had these 3 people follow me around everywhere I went. And every time I said that, "Shh, don't say anything. Write it down." They would do that.
Write it down.
That's what they did.
Sounds like you did a lot of writing it down.
Yeah, I guess.
That's a lot of patents.
Yeah.
A lot of creations.
Yeah, if you tell me it's 40, you're not going to hurt me, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, I think we can round it up.
I think it's 39, I think. I really don't know, to be honest with you. We first got married, I had to work 3 jobs to get through engineering school. And you just shut me up if you want me to.
I'm good.
And I had to work, in fact, I remember once I had to work, on the weekends, I had to work 27 hours straight between 3 jobs. Worked at a grocery store and a gas station, and clean right. I used to do feather dusting. You get to have the technique to do the feather dusting. That's how I got through college. And 27 hours, I still remember, because it's hard to do that even when you're that young. And
yeah.
So when we got married, we had no money, and Joey had to buy my suit so we could get married. She probably paid for the priest too. When she bought my suit, and she had the car. She came with a car. And when we got to the when we lived in Casey Chevrolet was the name of the Chevrolet dealer. I don't know that. And I spent all our money and I bought a brand new vet. So within about 3 or 4 months of being married, she was poor too. But I turned out to be a good investment. It worked out okay.
Up here.